Welcome back to Oslo. A little bit of a surprise start there. Sorry, we were caught off guard, but now we're with you and we're live and we're back and we're ready to present the next two breakout speakers. Now, we've talked a lot about sustainability throughout the day, and if we wish to significantly, if we wish to reduce the CO2 emissions by a lot, we need to start reusing building materials, as it is considered one of the most effective measures. Our upcoming speakers recently collaborated on developing system integrations that ensure a seamless transfer of reused materials from the mapping process to the digital designed BIM. Remember, if you have any questions for them, send them in via the digital platform, but also help me give a warm welcome to, from Tvinn Solutions, architect and co-founder Brede Stokland, and from Loopfront, founder and chief circularity officer Michael Curtis.
Thank you. Great. Obviously, I'm not Håkon Groven, but it's a pleasure to be here today and to present to you an innovative collaboration. I know collaboration has been talked about a lot today, so we're looking forward, myself and Brede, to present to you how we have been collaborating to create innovative solutions to increase sustainability, effectiveness, and also reducing costs in building projects. So I work at Loopfront. Loopfront is a digital tool to help real estate owners reduce waste. We have created an online service where our customers can register what materials they have that can potentially be reused in other locations. We started our company in 2018, and back then circularity was quite new. So what we have done is that we have created a dedicated reuse surveying tool that helps our customers survey what they already own. We started as a small team, but now we have grown to almost 20 people, and we are active both in Norway, Sweden, and Germany, helping our customers reduce waste. So, as I said at the beginning of our journey, we looked at circularity as a big problem. I have a master's in sustainable architecture, and I've been working as a sustainability consultant for almost 10 years. And in that time, I've seen that in a lot of projects, a lot of materials were going to waste. So when I started this journey and looking at how do we actually reuse buildings, then it was important to look at what are the processes like today. So when I went to visit one building owner, I seen that they were registering what they already had using tools like Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel. And no offense to Microsoft Word, but I think we need better tools to be able to increase circularity. So this was our opportunity to create a dedicated tool which helps get an overview of what we have and look at the potential for emission savings, waste savings, but also the potential economic savings. So since then, we have created Loopfront, this online tool, and since 2018, we have helped our customers save almost 10 million euros in avoiding purchases of new materials, along with waste and emission savings. Our customers have also registered over 300,000 materials which have the ability to be reused, and some customers are achieving already over 100% reuse. So the problems that our customers have, they are divided into three areas. A lot of our customers, they have no overview of what they already have. Where is it what do we have and where is it that can be reused? And how do I get value out of what I already own? How can I get it in again into my projects? And of course, we want to do this because we want to report the emissions, waste, and economic savings. So we divide this up, what do we have, where do we own, where is it? We solve that by giving our customers, as I said, a surveying tool, and that allows them to do a reusability survey. What is the condition of the materials? What type of materials is it? What's the remaining lifetime, and how much emissions can we save? As I said, we started in 2018 with a reusability tool, but since then we have developed an inventory management or circular management system. So once you're finished with a reusability assessment, you can see what materials you have, you can search, you can filter. And then straight away, when you survey your materials, you can put them onto a marketplace, an internal marketplace for your own company, so you can see what your own company has, or you can put them straight out for sale, share your resources with other companies. And this is what the platform looks like today. We have a surveying tool, but also a inventory management tool. We have developed different marketplaces, both an internal marketplace and external marketplace. It's not always the case that everything you have, you can reuse yourself. And also we assist with logistics, order management. So you do have something that can be reused somewhere else. Well, we create an overview of what's being moved, who wants it, contact information, where is it going, all of that important information. That allows organizations to effectively reuse what they already have. And of course, we do this all for a reason. So we have live reporting. So you're able to see, okay, what do we have potentially can we save? What have we planned to save? And what actually savings we have achieved? And since starting in 2018, we have started now to work with almost 90 customers, some really big real estate owners who want to become more circular. And the most important thing is savings. What are the savings that our customers are making? So be able to document what the savings are. There is a huge amount of competency out there now. We have those champions who are working in these organizations trying to make circularity happen, but of course they meet their challenges. And these are the type of challenges or the scenarios that they are working to solve. You know, it's quite common still today that when we're moving locations, we throw out everything that we have. When we're moving, we buy everything new in again. And we're trying to work on ways to solve that. So if you're moving as a company, we have a solution that helps you manage moving all of the materials with you. So even the logistics company can do their job more effectively. We're working on rehabilitation and new construction projects. And that's where Brede will be showing how we're working with introducing used materials into new projects. And also when we're demolishing projects, to be able to plan where those materials are going long before the building is demolished. And a very exciting concept that we're also exploring is circular operations. So we have customers who have millions of square meters of real estate, and how can we become circular in the daily activities? So how does the process look? Well, of course, lots of buildings out there, and we want to keep these materials in the loop. So as I said, we have the surveying tool where you can get an overview of all the materials that are in your existing buildings and straight out onto the marketplace, if it's internal marketplace or external marketplace, where users can go in, evaluate, and book materials. And we assist them with the logistics. And all of this happens directly in the Loopfront platform, so you don't have to work between systems. And yeah, with reporting, you're then able to see the savings that are gained from that process. And please, one example of a customer who is working with becoming circular today is the municipality in Trondheim, municipality. They have over 1 million square meters of real estate today, existing buildings. But unfortunately, like a lot of building owners out there, they don't have the capacity or the budgets to be able to effectively maintain all of their building stock. So how can we reduce the costs with becoming circular with Loopfront? So as you can see on the right-hand side, in the last 12 months, this one customer has saved over 12 million kroner, or 1.2 million euros, with keeping materials in the loop. So they have an overview of everything that they own already, from buildings that are going to be demolished soon or that are in use, but materials being changed out. And even after all of the costs that they've had with becoming circular, like having a storage facility, having employees working with this full time, having the trucks and the shelves, everything that's involved, even after all these costs, we're able to see that when implementing circularity into the organization, they are profitable. So circularity now we should associate with profitability, or at least with cost savings. And in addition to that, not only cost savings, but also emission and waste savings, because ultimately we have to become a zero emission society. So that's all that I have to say about Loopfront, and I give the word over to you, Brede.
Cool. Yeah. So Michael has been talking about reuse mapping, which is a physical process with a digital output. Whilst design, on the other hand, is a digital process with a physical output. And it's somewhere between these two worlds where we at Tvinn operate. So the question we ask ourselves is, and also the basis of why we founded Tvinn, is how can we convey the value of reused data into efficient design processes? So today I'll be talking about reuse of building materials, BIM as kind of the enabling tool for this transition. But I'll start off by addressing the need for a change of design methodology among us designers in the AAC when it comes to circularity. So designing with virgin materials versus used materials needs different approaches, and I'll exemplify this with three parameters. First of all, with virgin materials, you can kind of do as you like, and you can define your own material properties in comparison to used materials where this is already defined. When it comes to available amounts, virgin materials are kind of limitless. You can always just fire up some production facility in China or somewhere and order new materials, and also the CO2 emissions that comes with it. However, with used materials, it's limited. The accessibility is limited. Same goes for availability. So virgin materials are are ordered on demand, but used materials are only available in certain periods. So we argue that we need to move away from kind of the more from our generic way of designing to a more product-specific design proposals. We need to start talking about these 8 doors that we have in this building for future reuse. And that's kind of what Tvinn is all about. We're trying to make used materials usable for the owners, designers, and seekers of these materials. And now we're building our technology with our partners and customers, that being Nordic, LPO, Ratio, A-Lab, Snøhetta, AFRI, and Oslo Works. So just a short shout out to all of you for supporting tech firms as us and actually aiming for circularity. As Michael mentioned, the regulations are here. All buildings bound for demolition must undergo a so-called reuse mapping assessment or a survey. And in simple terms, building fractions are now being described for the potential of future reuse. So the point is that this has kind of enabled the gathering of big data about materials with the potential of reuse, and that's a game changer for the industry. Of course, new regulations, that brings also a lot of new problems, otherwise we wouldn't be here today. And this breach today could be explained by the lack of a link between how data of reused materials are described by the material provider, that is the owners of the data or the building materials, and the tools designer use for project development. Exemplified with a couple of reuse mapping reports here. Michael, you mentioned Word. We've worked with reuse mapping reports in Word, but also Excel. And of course, it's a pleasure to work with web-based data collectors like Loopfront that has actually a database of structured data. But the thing is, there is yet no standard of how we describe reused data, which again leads to a couple of risk factors. We need an overview of what is actually available out there on the market. We kind of lack the necessary information and meaningful data to take well-informed design decisions. And we have to ensure that the reused good could actually be obtained, it could be stored somewhere, and it could be implemented in a new building. So our proposed solution for and value proposition for our 3 stakeholders are as follow. For the material provider, we restructure and enhance their data, making it accessible directly in BIM software for the designer. And further on, we track and visualize the progress of the material choices done by the architect in BIM towards tender for the contractor and developer. And to do this, we've developed the Tvinn Reuse platform, bringing the provider's data, that could be data originating from a donor building that's mapped in an Excel report. It could be materials that are already in physical storage facilities, or it could be marketplaces like Loopfront. The thing is, we import this data, restructure it into kind of one truth, that being the BIM truth of the designer and project team. lowering the threshold for actually implementing reuse in your BIM project, but also your built project. So the Tvinn reuse platform consists of 3 synchronized solutions. We got Tvinn Provide, which is a web-based data collection service and an API integration towards actors like Loopfront, bringing data into our systems. Tvinn Teleport is kind of the beating heart of our technology. This is the Revit plugin, giving designers instant access to reusable goods directly in their BIM model. And Gather is also a web-based decision or coordination service for the remaining project group to track the progress and also reserve these materials. And since this is a BIM summit, I'll focus on our BIM module, Teleport, for now. And to do so, I'll take you through a pilot project we recently did with Loopfront. Tvinn was the developer and Nordplan the design team. So Reuse on Bingsa is a project where we integrated our platforms, making the data flow from mapping to actual design easy as that. Tvinn is building their new headquarters and are using 3 existing buildings on the plot as donor buildings. The mapping process was done in several iterations, all done and registered in Loopfront's platform. Here, the project team could decide on what materials to proceed with and move them to the so-called internal marketplace, making them available for the Tvinn integration. So then we could transfer the data to our process. And this starts by making the reuse data into BIM objects and BIM compatible data. That gives kind of a good digital rendering of the reuse good, a so-called BIMification process. And for the nerds here. So we start this process by carefully assessing all the information that's on the material, that being geometry, visual, technical, and functional properties. And in this process, materials was classified on Bygningsdelstabellen, the Norwegian building component table of some sort, and Statsbygg's multidisciplinary labeling system, where data from external sources are categorized into the database. And based on this, our system can determine which family template fits the material best, such as a 2-leaf door of a certain type, and then adds structured names and property sets to specify values. And for complex objects like doors, it's crucial to specify measurements precisely, distinguish between verified and generic values, and to lock these to avoid any changes further down the road. After this is done, we provide the designer with all these BIM objects through our Teleport UI in Revit, making it accessible in the format that we actually know. And Teleport consists of these 4 tabs. Explore lets you, of course, explore through search and filtering mechanisms. Find and replace exchanges generic objects in your model with well-matched reuse-specific objects. We can analyze the degree of use versus new in the model, and under overview and reservations, we can, of course, keep track of what's actually in usage, the quantity of these materials, and lastly, reserve the materials towards the remaining project group. But yeah, let's have a look. So Tvinn Teleport is a plugin for Revit, where we want you to access and explore a world of reusable materials. That could be on the basis of different categories, and you can use search and filtering mechanisms to find them. Here, exemplified with a window, you could search for height and opening type. And then you can access these materials and take a closer look at the photos and properties of the mapped material. But the cool thing is that each object in our database is a BIM object. So click and place, drag directly into your model, and start designing with reuse-specific materials. You could also work with layered objects, that being cladding, for instance, here exemplified with a red brick, and apply them to the different surfaces of your model, interior or exterior. Yes, and then let kind of the machine help you find well-matched reuse objects. So take a couple of generic objects. We can look at windows, for instance, and work with different tolerances. In this case, we'll work with the tolerance of the width. And then you find a suggestion of available reuse goods in the database and easily switch them out. Of course, you need to keep track of the materials that you actually use. We've used 4 different doors in this project, but with different quantities of each door. And then you could reserve each type of these doors towards the remaining project group. And lastly, we need to understand what's in the model. We need to understand the data. And this is obviously so we could report on different certification arrangements. Yeah. And I think that's it. At least that's how we become successful with reuse in our projects. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Fantastic. Now let me just check. So let's say I design a house. I go, here's a wall. Now, please provide me with alternatives for reused windows.
Correct.
So I don't need to decide beforehand that I'll go on all reusables. I can see what's available, and if I don't like it, I can use it for virgin materials. I can change that the different aspects of that throughout the construction or design process.
Yes. And we kind of, as you said, we don't need ambitions for like 100% reuse project. That's not going to happen. That's idealism. We're not working with that. If we could go for a 10% reuse degree, that would be immense savings in regards of CO2. And our tool kind of lets you test this quite efficiently in, as previously mentioned, in early phases of your design as well. And we see it as a huge value added for the design team and the whole period of designing.
Now, I know you're an architect. So yeah, go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say that for us who are designers, the default is that when you're working in these tools like BIM and you click on door or wall, it's kind of you're going out from that you're choosing a new material. We need to get reused materials or reusable materials in the spaces where we are designing so that we can present an alternative. We need to position used materials better.
Navigate Zero, Jan Tore Bugge talked earlier today about having the AI on the shoulder going, hey, there's if you change your construction to this kind of material, your CO2 emissions will decrease by. Is that something that you guys are looking at as well? Hey, you could put in a reused window and save up to...
Yeah, I can go first. It's not an AI, but we're actually already doing it, right? We need that testing early phase. Mm-hmm. So it'll actually tell you that, hey, there are some materials available that fits the requirement of your generic objects. Just press this button and we can test them out. Right. So yeah. Definitely.
Now, Michael, sensitive question. Brede, you can cover your ears for a second. It's about architects. Architects are perhaps a little bit. How do you view their role in this? Because they, of course, perhaps have higher or visual expectations or standards when it comes to how designs look.
Yeah, I mean, aesthetics is just one aspect. I mean, architects, if you look at the background education, it's all about developing our society, right? So I think sustainability has an important role, and since architects are the ones that are designing our kind of communities in society, they can take a leadership role. So now, architects having access to use materials, be able to find and integrate them into their concepts in a kind of a meaningful way or a good way, not just aesthetics, but also in terms of emissions and waste, can definitely take a leading role in because building projects, it's all about collaboration, right? Yep. So you need somebody to go forward and present initial concept when you say, hey, reuse actually can work on this project. So I think architects definitely play a super important role.
Throughout my 3 years as a moderator for BIM, I've actually only heard people going, we need to start doing this, also architects. So it's not, I think there's a support. But as an architect, though, honestly, how fun is it to work with a used window? Because that's fixed, as you said.
How fun it is?
Yeah.
Well, it's great fun, right? We as architects, no, we like it. Everyone thinks that we as architects, we like this. Okay, you just have the plot of land and then you start freely. We like constraints. We like working within some set parameters. And reuse is the same thing. Okay, you might not have like all these material properties and the amount available for you, but work with what you got. So it's an extremely interesting design task to do, and a new design task to do for architects. So, yeah, no, I couldn't.
So apart from saving money, saving CO2 emissions, making customers happy, it's also fun to sort of work within the new with those constraints.
Of course.
There you
And
go.
all of you can try as well if you just download this plugin. So yeah.
Yeah, you can really become famous, because there's not many people doing this yet. So you can be early out, and and reuse is also it's a kind of art, So we are also artists.
Definitely.
So let's stop the promotion for now, but happy that you're so passionate. I love it, and it's a great thing that you do.